What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be playing around with a title called Whiskerwood. This is one of the newest titles from Hooded Horse, a publisher that I think is one of those rare publishers out there. We've seen a very large homogenization in the world of indie games when it comes to like ideas and themes and sort of gameplay precepts. Hooded Horse tends to be one of those publishers that goes after the weird games, and so I've learned to give them the benefit of the doubt because they usually seem to pull the rabbit out of the hat when it comes to revitalizing that 2012 vibe of everything is interesting and everything is unique that indie games used to have. And so Whiskerwood is a game where we are a tribe of mice that have been exiled to the far-off penal colonies, effectively, under our cat overlords in order to build things up RimWorld style and send them back deliveries so that they can support the cat empire. We have to do that without arousing suspicion. There will be characters inside of our colony that are rebels. There will be characters inside of our colony that are monarchists and have actually sold out to the cats. And so there are a number of interesting things going on here that I think you can work with. I played around with the game yesterday for about an hour, and I think I'm ready to render my first impressions of it. So let's dive on into the game. We're going to play for about 30, 45 minutes, see if it's the kind of thing you wanted to add to your wish list or otherwise pass on. Please keep in mind that with this title, as with most of the things that I'm covering, that this is a very early, alpha preview of the game. This game also has a coming soon on its page, so I don't think this game is coming out anytime soon, but the link is down there in the description just in case you wanted to get it for yourself. On top of that, you can also take a look down there and find a bunch of other super sexy, flexy Nerd Castle links, but let's dive on into the game and have a good time with it. So inside this preview, a lot of things are going to be disabled or not implemented. However, the things that are I actually find to be reasonably high quality. The first thing we need to do is we actually need to name our colony. New Home is not a good name for a new colony because we are being oppressed by the horrible claw of the cat lords above us. Their paw is on our neck and we cannot stand it. Now is the time to rise, brethren, and strike down the feline menace and establish an empire for mice, about mice, and for mice. So we're going to name this place Shank, Kitty Cove. There we go. That's a perfect name for our colony. I think it fully embodies what I'm trying to do with this game, and then we will embark. So here we are. We've arrived at our terminus of our journey with nothing but our refugee boat. We need to take a look at a bunch of these islands and figure out which ones are going to be the most useful to us, but in just a second, let's have a look around here. So this island seems to be okay-ish.
Scout ships identified your assigned archipelago as a potential colony as part of the Royal Scouting Commission of 1681. 72 such colonies have successfully been established as a result of those brave Claw's efforts. By the King's graceful guidance, yours could be the 73rd such colony. Your most important building will be the trade dock. Without it, your colony cannot repay its debts. Therefore, I implore you to choose an island and construct your dock. Look for ample trees and berry bushes nearby.
All right, well, I'm probably going to skip a lot of this dialogue as we go through because I don't find it to be super compelling dialogue, and it's mostly tutorialized stuff. But that's the theme of our game. We've been sent off under heavy debt to build a colony and pay it off by just mining things, extracting things, and generally developing our economy until we can survive easily. Ooh, they got rock salt over there. Look how far the map zooms out. This actually struck me, so I'm guessing there's going to be an exploratory aspect to this game, or maybe like a shipping, logistics, and drayage aspect to this game too between your islands, where you can kind of send things around, or I don't know, like a military aspect. I'm not really sure what this map builds up to, because after an hour of playing the game, it still hadn't become apparent. But the first thing we need to do is we need to pick a side of the island that we're totally cool with living on, and then we need to start colonizing it. So let's go ahead and take our trade dock. I think in our trade dock's case, we've actually got a pretty strong case to make for building it right here. There's a lot of copper on this side, and copper is incredibly valuable to the Empire. We get paid a lot for it, and it helps us get our debts under control much faster than a lot of the things that we can send back. However, the downside to this spot is that it doesn't have a lot of buildable space, but I think we can fix that if we really stick to it. So let's put our trade dock right there, and it is down. A trade ship is going to arrive. It's going to have our first batch of whiskers on it. Each of these little characters are going to be distinct. They're going to have perks. They're going to have jobs. They're going to have flaws. And we're going to need to take those things into mind when we assign them to do various jobs. But for right now, we actually got lucky. We got a bunch of people that don't have any negative perks. That's super good. We only got people with positive perks, so that's very, very helpful. The whiskers are now home.
Value of your tax contributions. Each warehouse has a limited capacity. Watch that you do not satiate your warehouse's capacity on worthless goods. Focus on storing resources that will benefit the kingdom. Logs, cotton, and ores. These goods will keep during long voyages and supply work for whiskers in the royal factories. To reduce carry distances, you should construct the included central warehouse schematic near your trade dock.
So the next thing we need to build is going to be our warehouse. We're in a little bit of a tight spot right here. There's going to be quite a bit of mining and terraforming that we're going to have to do in order to make this place work properly. But we'll put the warehouse down right there for now. And this is actually going to be the central building of our entire society, probably for the remainder of this video. Later on, you replace it with town halls and like places of governance and whatnot. But for right now, this is the place where people go to rest, relax, eat, stockpile things, all that stuff that you've come to expect. And then we'll just kind of let the game run while these guys build it up. The characters in this game, they do have very nice animations. I've been very, very pleased with the way that the mice look and the way that they work and the way that they interact with the world. They feel very lively. They've almost got like a DreamWorks type feel to them, I guess. They've got like a nice look. You can also click on these guys and you can actually use sort of god powers on them as you develop out your society. But here's our first supply shipment. This is going to have all the food, water, all that kind of stuff that we're going to need to survive our first couple days here. Let's unload it. Love that animation right there, by the way. So, you may have noticed that the tax collector is coming. We've got to deal with the tax man. So this is the fundamental mechanic of this game, is that the monarchy is going to be breathing down your neck the entire time you're playing for you to send them things back that keep the empire functioning. Now, the game is pretty clear about it, that we as mice are in bondage. They mention a couple times that, like, mice are forced to work inside of factories back in the empire, and so we are actually supporting the bondage of our own people, but hopefully this game develops a curve that allows you to side with rebels or something like that as time goes along. The first thing that I would like to have is a mining camp. I think that's a really good idea. And then the second thing that we're going to need is we're going to need a woodcutter. And so we'll put that right there. Those two things are going to give us the basic stuff that we need in order to continue on surviving. The other thing that I think would actually be really, really smart is I think we need a gatherer's hut as well. So we'll plop the gatherer's hut right there, but you do have to pay attention to altitude in this game. Your characters, they can't climb up walls or anything else like that, so we are going to have to do a little bit of retrofitting in order to make this area accessible. So I'll put some stairs right there. I'll put some stairs right there. I will put some stairs right there so that we can access all these berries so that our food will be taken care of as time goes forward. We've also got a decent amount of flax on this side, and so I think all we have left to do for right now is to just let this thing run. And as you can see, our little mice are going to take all the resources to the places where they need to be in order to make stuff happen. Now, along the way, we are going to get quests not only from our own people, but also from the monarchy. So, for example, this one right here, we get one new colonist if we build a mining camp and add 2 workers to it. I'm going to accept that one because it's an easy W. All these buildings are now up and running, so we need to assign our workers. Take note, look at this little symbol in the top left-hand corner. Workers that have that matching symbol, they do better at that job. So we would want Fleet to be one of our miners right here. It doesn't really matter who we take with the other stuff because we don't have any more miners that we can sort by. So we'll just go with everybody and we'll put Shade on that job. This one right here with the wood choppers, it requires explorers. So let's get, how many explorers do I have? Just the one? That's fine. We'll put 1 explorer right there to chop some logs, and then this guy over here also wants explorers. Well, too damn bad because we don't have that right now. And so we've already completed our quest. Let's get our free colonist right there. That's been taken care of, but our debts have gone up, unfortunately. One thing to keep in mind with this game is they will not do any harvesting actions unless you tell them to do said harvesting actions. So there's no like magical ring around this building that just detects the resources that are around and goes and grabs them. You've actually got to mark them for demolition. So let's get all of our trees marked here on our different floors. And the good news is we've got lots and lots and lots of wood supply, so this should last us a great deal of time on this side. Now our miners, these guys are going to have probably the most important job here. I need them to hollow out all of this terrain and get all of this copper. When they get done there, the game does supply you with quality of life that allows you to move your buildings around. You can do that with one button click and it doesn't cost you anything. So if you need to migrate one of your workspaces further flung out from the center of your society, don't worry about it. It's not going to cost you anything. It's just like a little bit of labor and a little bit of setting things up. But with the mining tool, what we'd like to do here is we need stone and we need copper, and we also, most importantly, need more building space. So I'm going to have all of my mice focus on getting rid of this lower layer right here. That way, not only will we be gathering up copper, which is very, very valuable to the Empire, but we will also be giving ourselves extra footprint along which we can actually function. I'll probably cancel these tiles right here because they've got flax up on them, but not much. Oh, we got a whisker ship right here. So this is another mechanic. Every now and again, the entire game, so if you click on your harbor, it's going to tell you a schedule of everything that's going to happen each day. We've got ourselves a whisker ship right now. This is where we can use our approval. At the end of every single day, based on how well you did as an administrator, you get an approval rating, which is basically a conceptualization of how all of your mice feel about you. And you'll get these points right here, and you can spend them on all kinds of stuff. But in the early game, what we want to spend them on is we want to spend them on new mice. Unfortunately, I don't have a seal right here. I would really, really, really like to actually re-roll this, and I can't. So chance to make passing whiskers unhappy. We basically got all people with negative perks here. Okay, well, I'll take him, even though he's a heavy eater. I try to avoid heavy eaters because food can be a big problem in this game. I don't want the rude person, though. Warm core is okay, but too many heavy eaters and you'll collapse due to food shortages. And so I'll just take 2 workers for right now, and hopefully that'll be good enough as we go forward. We don't end up with any major stop gaps in our production. We don't really have anything else to do for the rest of today. The timer down here in the bottom left says we've got about 3 to 5 minutes left. Okay, it says specifically 3 minutes left till the day's over. So I'm just going to let it run for right now until the day's work is finished. So the day has ended, and what you'll see here is that all of our mice are going to go back to the stockpile, and they're all going to eat 1 food per mouse. You can keep track of that at the top of the screen right here. Heavy eaters will take 2, and that's one of those reasons why you want to be careful about taking too many heavy eaters. I was taking just about anybody I could get on my last playthrough, and by the time I was about 2 hours in, that decision-making process utterly destroyed me as a society because I could just not supply everybody without extreme methods. But for right now, we have nothing else to do but wait until the day ends. And there we go. The day has ended, so we're going to get a prompt to end our day. It's going to go through our approval rating, which is very, very bad right now. And it's going to tell you all the reasons why your approval rating is good and or bad over on this side. And so most of it's just because our people are sleeping on the outside the house right now, and that makes them upset. And so day 2 is now beginning. All of our workers are going to scramble back to doing what they were originally doing. Hopefully we can stack up a decent amount of logs and a decent amount of copper today. That way we've got all of our responsibilities financially taken care of, and we can actually start keeping some of the other goodies for ourselves. The game does have a very sort of, I don't know, dude. It reminds me of The Hobbit. I don't know, the music is so happy and merry inside of this game, even though it's a game about being oppressed and having like your face shoved into the mud to do hard labor even though you don't want to. A supply ship has landed, so that's good. Supply ships are basically offering you the opportunity to get a bunch of supplies in exchange for debt. You will be more in debt, so it'll cost you more when the tax collector gets here, but these things can really solve a lot of your problems. On top of that, the weasels that work for the cats, you can refuse their supplies, but you have a reputation meter with the weasels, which means that if you torpedo it too hard, they're going to stop bringing you supplies, just kind of out of spite. Right now, we can take a little bit of debt in order to get ourselves some hardtack, some machinery. This right here, though, we can take a solid chunk of debt in order to get planks and in order to get more food, like a day's worth of food, almost 2 days worth of food. I'm going to ante up on this one, and I'm going to take the big shipment. That's going to take our debt up to 181. That's not crazy ideal, But it did give us a lot of cooked food that's going to last us 3 more days before we have to tap into our berries. And considering the fact that we started out with a lot of copper mines just in our vicinity, I think it'll work out okay. The day has ended, and we didn't really get too much productive done today. I'm still waiting on them to mine out that wall right there, but our approval rating did go up because I reconfigured a lot of my workers to put people that like hard labor in hard labor jobs, and so that should be okay. We've got a tax collector coming today, which is a bad thing, but it's actually also kind of a good thing because you get a bunch of resources if you do a good job extracting from society. They want me to build housing space, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I was going to do that today anyways, and so I don't feel that remiss about it. Let's start getting some little cabins and just places where people live at. Squirreled out here. Unfortunately, the buildings all look the same. There are no, I guess, procedural parts to the building that make them stand out a little bit better. We'll just get 4 houses down here along the shore. Maybe 5, actually. I mean, they fit. We might as well. And if we can turn a corner right there, we can actually make like a little housing district right here. Yeah, that'll work. I'll do the housing district. And then once we've got this space, we'll put more work spots in it so that we can put like another lumber camp over here to take care of things. But I think we've got a little bit of a stopgap right now until we have a few more colonists and the ability to build this thing out a little bit more aggressively. The tax collector is here. I'm going to pay him early. Normally, I would not pay him early, but I'm paying him early for a reason. It's because we get these things called seals. For every single one of these brackets that we fill in with our delivery, we get wax seals. Wax seals, very, very helpful because they allow you to re-roll your options, and you can get some really, really booty cheeks options in this game that suck, that do not help you out as a society at all. And so I'm going to fulfill what it is that we were basically we have to go up to here, the crown, in order to make the king happy. You can take it up higher in exchange for better boons because they're going to send a shipment to support the colony. If you get to this bracket, or this bracket, I don't think I want to give up any more of my logs, though. So I think I'll keep it right here where we're at, and we'll send that shipment right now. The Claw delegation will speak to you soon. Of course, I have no doubt that they will. They seem to be real good at communicating when it comes to telling me what they need from me and what they're not going to give me back. The Whisker ship has also arrived, so hopefully we got somebody good in here, and it looks like we did, actually. What does a loner do? Unhappy or working if sleeping with others. Okay. Normally, sleeping with others gives a fat mood boost, but I get what you're saying. We've got a monarchist and a masochist down here. What would lead an otherwise noble and proud mouse to side with the cats, man? That's just heartbreaking. You hate to see it. You really sincerely do. You look at him and you're just like, what series of events led you to sell out your own people for the monarchy? I don't know. We'll take 4 of them, though. That was a pretty good batch. I'll take all 4 of them. We now have 12 whiskers. We are going to have to factor that into our overall food supply and figure that out. We've only got 5 houses going down, and we're going to need 7 more because houses in this game, they only house a single whisker. So, you know, taking them in, it solves problems, but it's also causing problems. What I'd like to do for right now, though, is I'd like to double up on mining camps so that we get this cleared faster. So let's get another mining camp right there. I would also like to have another lumberjackery over here. I don't think that those are going to be permanent. Actually, instead of the lumberjackery, let's not do that. Let's get a second forager, actually, I think. I think a second forager would be a much better plan here, but I am going to have to build some ramps in order to make this work. So we'll put that right there. So, well, I don't know if that'll work right there. The good news is when you break things in this game, you get a full refund. So don't worry about it and stress about it too much. But I'd like to keep access to our food supply looking good. I'm trying to get a good look at this area for where I could put in a forager's hut. Maybe right there. I'd have to see where the exit is at, though. The exit is on the right side, so we'll put that right there instead. And then we'll get all of this queued up for harvesting. That way we can just have extra food supply coming in until I have the time to design farms and things of that nature. I think that would be a good play. Oh, we got our gift supplies from the king. Okay, so we can take 10 breads, 4 spices. I think that's a good pick. Take the extra food, and we get to take 1 more. I would say take the cut stone and the planks, because planks are going to be a major stopgap for our society. As we start getting towards tier 1 construction, you're going to need a lot of planks. And unfortunately, based on the amount of workers and based on the amount of stuff that you have on hand, sometimes it's not entirely possible to get all the planks that you need in order to build up the stuff that's required. And so you guys just keep hammering away on houses. Hopefully they get them done by the end of the day. These guys are tag teaming down here, and I'm really hoping that they get a lot of good stuff done. One house taken care of, and now it looks like they're spreading out to help the other mice. Nice, dude. Okay, good. I need them to get these mining camps and these foraging camps done, though. That's also going to be important. Okay, all those buildings are finished off, and now we've doubled up on the supplies that we are able to produce. That's good. That should keep us moving for a little while. I am going to mine all that out for the copper. I think that 9 copper right there will be really, really helpful. That's like 180, 200 gold's worth of supplies we can send back to the capital. They're still mining away at these walls over here, but I think they're going to make the big progress tomorrow. Like, I can't really rest until this is all gone. We've completed our 5-house quest. That means that we get 8 planks, so that'll be nice. I don't think there is a maximum capacity that can be on the central warehouse. Okay, I learned something today. We're going to need to spend some stuff then. We're going to need to start spending money. We do have a nice clear plot over here. It may not be the worst idea to build a farm or a fishing dock. I don't know which one I like better. We need 21 logs for a fishing dock. For a farmer, we need 8 planks. We could do that. Yeah, put him right there. That'll work. Let's get a farm going. I'm worried about food. Food is what torpedoed my last society. And so, like, I just could not stay on top of it while also fulfilling my obligation to the crown. I just couldn't do it. I got smoked. Day 3 is over. So let's go ahead and end the day. We should have a much better approval rating today. Yeah, we had a fantastic approval rating today, so we're still maxed out. That's nice. Let's start our new day off. Everybody's pretty happy with me right now. I think with the additive people that are helping out with mining, what do we have coming in today? Today we've got a supply ship. Okay, so we've got to decide. Yeah. He wants us to refuse pirate demands for 3 machinery. I'm going to refuse that quest because the pirates, you can't really fight back. They just come in and shell your society and mess everything up and kill a bunch of mice. And all you get out of it is 3 machinery. Machinery isn't helpful at this phase of the game. It will be helpful like later on down the line, but we've got plenty of other methodologies for getting more of that before we have to worry about it. And so I just wouldn't stress for right now. Supply ship just docked. We've got to decide if we want to take more debt in order to grab this stuff on up. Let me take a look at my stockpile and see what I have. So I have 81 in copper ores. We probably want to keep our debt on the D-Lo for right now because I don't think we're going to pull out enough stuff. Well, they're on copper nodes right now. Maybe we can take a little bit more debt. Maybe. It's kind of hard to say, though. I don't want to, like, go too hard in the paint on this. We could get a lot of supplies for $100 in debt. I will take that, but only because there's cloaks in there, and once we get out of summer and we start getting into the colder month, people are going to need cloaks, and they're going to need gloves and things like that, otherwise they're going to get sick and die. And so I'd like to stockpile some of the basic things that we're going to need in order to stay warm once the sun stops shining. Oh, dude, I'm going to have to mine out this lower layer for copper, too, and then I'm going to have to fill it in with floors. Our farm's done, though, so that's pretty cool. With the farming tool... Oh, no, this area is bad for farming. You've got to be on the green grass. I'm going to have to mine out a different... And I destroyed a bunch of farmland over here. Oh, I am a dummy. Okay. So instead of doing what we're doing right here, I'm going to cancel a lot of these jobs. So I've canceled a lot of these out so that we can maintain a little bit of farming space going forward. I think I'm going to need to get rid of the flax first. I may have the miners come up here and push that back, but it's possible that the exposed soil may not be good for farming. It may not end up being that productive. And so we're going to have to fill some of this stuff in. How big was the footprint on this? So this is a kind of an L shape. Okay, well, let me get all my resources back real quick. And instead, what we will do is we'll have one little ramp back here that takes this up to here. I think we can weasel in the farm right there. The entryway is being blocked. Oh no, the entryway is on the wrong spot. But the good news is you can have your buildings built entirely on scaffolds, like so. And the game will actually auto-insert those for you. So that could have gone really poorly, but it didn't. We should be all right. I'm going to turn this area into farmland, I think, if I can manage it, and we'll just have them focus on copper for right now, because I'd like to bring in a lot more money now that I've taken on a considerable chunk of debt in order to get a luxury known as coats so that we don't freeze to death. Now that I have farmers, I don't have anybody that's ready to farm. I'd have to rearrange a lot of my workforce in order to make that happen, so I may wait for the next Whisker ship, which is tomorrow, in order to grab that stuff. The day has ended, and so now we've got tax day in front of us. I'm full up on influence for right now, so it doesn't really matter that we got a good grade from our people, except for, like, maintaining what we have. I think the other thing we could possibly do is maybe do a fishing hut for right now. I know it says a lot of these things are not available inside the preview, but you can get schematics for them. I don't know if you can build them, though, after you get the schematics. We could also get a stone cutter. The downside to the stone cutter is that sending cut stone back to the Empire doesn't generate any money, and so I'm always a little bit nervous about doing it. Tax collectors arrived. Luckily, we're flush with cash right now, so we should be in good shape just to bang this out, and I'm going to go all in with all of the copper that we have. That way I can get way more bonuses because we don't know exactly what we're going to need. If I get like machinery or something else out, I think that would be good. Yeah, let's just take all three criteria right there. We'll send the large shipment for now. The other problem is that my warehouse is running out of space, and we don't have an upgraded warehouse yet, which we would get from the schematics given to us by the king or by a research station in order to store up our things. And so now I'm just waiting for this Whisker ship to get here. Whisker ship, what you got for me? Can't smell. That's good. That means they take no damage from pollution. I am going to need more people that are natural farmers, though. I guess I'll take Crumble. I'll take 3 for right now, and we'll refuse the rest. I think 3 should be good enough. I don't think I'm going to need more than that. I don't think. There's our delivery. We do need machinery if we're going to be building certain things, so I will take... I think I will take the machinery bonus. And I think I will take the clothing, actually. That's a pretty solid draw. Then from there, I need to put my new farmer on this work right here. And then we will also put Flint over here. And then we need to build up some farms. That's what we need to do next. Let's get farms built out just everywhere that we possibly can, in all fairness, if there's a space for it. I don't know if they can walk on farms, but I hope they can walk on farms because they're going to have to walk on farms. Let's see if that's good enough right there in order to get us moving. Worst case is I put a ramp right here and I develop that upper level tier as well. That way we're doing kind of like our own mousy version of terrace farming. The other thing that I should probably get locked down today is I should probably build some more housing. Like, all I can really make right now are crappy stone houses. The stone houses are not nearly as good as the normal houses, but like... I'll give it a go, I suppose. Let's just keep these lined up, I guess. I don't know why that counts as blocked right there, but I'm not going to question it too hard. And we'll add another shanty right there. And really, anywhere that I can squeeze in a small bit of housing would be okay by me. Yeah, we'll have a house right there. Maybe a little bit of housing action right there. Really get the sprawl underway. Because we have a few too many people that are homeless right now. We gotta start keeping tabs on this problem. And so let me get another couple shanties right here. Maybe we'll go like that. I need to get rid of some stone too. We have way too much stone just clogging up my warehouse at the moment. Yeah, we're at 251 right now in terms of space. And so let the builders work for a little bit and we'll see if we can get this done. Apparently, we've got pirate demands coming on in. Oh, yeah, dude, they're running a little blockade over here. The pirates demand supplies. We could just give them 1 machinery. It's not really that big of a deal. Like, I can send the ransom over there. Like, 1 machinery is not going to torpedo our entire society. However, I do think that this might be give a moose a muffin territory, where if we give them what they want, they're just going to come back. And so we probably want to avoid that. Food supply is roughly going to run out over there pretty soon, and so we are going to have to suss out a new place that we can get sustenance from. I do not have a plan for dealing with that, but all of our warehouses are full too, so I think I've got to fix a couple of problems here. I don't think we necessarily have a whole lot of... Okay, we're going to have to build a couple of these crappy warehouses. I think they only store like 20 resources, but it's going to have to be good enough. And so once they get done with that copper right there, I'll probably add like 2 right here so that we have a corridor on this side. This place is turning into a warren real quick, isn't it? It's turning into a warren kind of rapidly. My miners are officially done with most of their tasks, but I'm not cool with that, actually. I need you guys to continue gathering, like, all the copper in the world. Copper is the only reason we're able to float our society right now. So until we have copper for, like, everything, life is not going to be simple. Builders are building, stuff is happening right now.
Trusted by your fellow Whiskers to lead their colony.
21 population. And we get a 233 tax credit. Let's go. I'm not going to push for that super hard, but it may help out on a week where our tax burden is just like way higher than we can handle for everything else going on. I think it might be okay. But I figure we're in about the right spot to do closing thoughts right now. So with Whiskerwood, I think the case here is that the game is just a little bit too cozy for me. So I think that the game is sitting on top of this fantastic premise. Like, I can't overstate that enough. It's got a premise that it's not utilizing. I've played this game for like 3 hours, and the idea of an oppressive cat government that's holding down the mice, forcing them to work in servitude back at home in the Empire and also here on the fringes on the periphery, that's a fantastic launch point for like a Frostpunk-style sandbox where you've got to choose whether you're loyal to the monarchy, hunting out rebels in your society and paying what you owe, or siding with the rebels to enact revolution while squirreling away what you can for the revolution while sending back enough to keep the monarch from being suspicious of you. As far as I can tell, that's just completely absent despite the game's potentially interesting setting. Like, after a few hours, it hasn't really done much to make itself distinct from, say, Timberborn on a gameplay level, and it hasn't stood out thematically enough compared to Against the Storm, which has a very similar premise, but Against the Storm takes that premise and just runs with it. It drips with it, you know? The ending result here is that I think you get a pretty game that is well made. It's got a great dollop of quality of life. There's charm in the animations. There's a sizable grip of technical polish that all comes together to not really do anything to pop compared to its contemporaries. This may be a case where I just personally prefer games that have darker messaging and themes, but the truth is that this game is just Timberborn kind of in a different setting. Instead of the weather wiping you out, it's a meter for a monarch that you've got to fill up every X amount of time, and even the monarch himself doesn't really stretch himself out to have like a prevailing, oppressive, antagonistic personality. I think that what they have here is solid on a design level. It just kind of feels like they haven't properly made the setting compelling. Instead, they just sort of slid into the same thing that everybody else is doing right now lately, which is like, let's take a game that's already been made and we'll slather it in as many super cozy vibes as possible and hope that nobody notices that the game doesn't really have much to say through the charm. I think the problem they have here is not a gameplay one. It's just an underutilization of the emergent narrative design that they're trying to spin out. If that narrative design does exist later on in the game, where you've got to be pressed between your own people and the monarchy, it needs to be changed immediately. It needs to become immediately apparent to the player without hours and hours of gameplay. And if that struggle doesn't exist at all in this game, I'd consider putting it in there. Were this game to release right now, I think it would sell perfectly fine just based on the fact that it works, it's polished, it has conveyor belts, it has a certain level of visual charm established. But if they wanted to hook me as a player, you've got to draw me into this idea of the monarchy versus the worker a lot more, because honestly, I think that's a fantastic hook that's just sort of withering on the vine at the moment, and existing as a meter to be filled instead. So my name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so that you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, it was Whiskerwood. Tomorrow it'll be something else. Thanks for hanging out with me, and that's all I got for you, folks. Bye.